clapper. It's the official.
There's a clapper.
Sure.
I need a real one.
Bro, we went to buy a real one for work. For the for the kids that like making movies. It's like 200, 300 bucks,
Hey,
for a proper one.
That's the digital one, eh?
The clapper. Nah, that was just the whiteboard one. Yo, just a whiteboard. I was like, damn.
you know it's funny because since we started doing this, like we got all the video game stuff. That's when I just finally learned that you needed a clapper for the audio and the video to merge. I didn't even know. You know, like
Was it Danny who told you about it, eh?
yeah. So that was because you see that the movies, eh? Like 1, 2, 3, action, and you always think it's not what you thought it was. All these years, all this time.
Nah, yeah, just think it's just like for the it's for the show. Oh, yeah, it's got a practical use.
So what did you need the clapper for?
Just at work. We had these we had like a little 72-hour film challenge in the week, second week of the holidays. So there's a bunch of kids that like making videos, telling stories about their experiences and that, and there's a couple of kids that had some story ideas. They wanted to script it and shoot it and make a film. So yeah, I think they probably planned it and shot it over a couple of days, and then a day of editing.
Yeah.
And then it was crack up, man. We'll probably put them out on social media soon, so that peeps can see what they made.
I think I saw some snippets on Edith's Instagram. I think I saw Amaziah doing some standovers.
No, for real. There's she's one of the Amaziah is one of the kind of like the writers. So she was writer / actor / director. But man, like it's funny because their stories are crack up too, and they're ones that like you can be any age and kind of connect with that experience. So like her story was about like the scabber.
I think that's
you know.
I think everyone around knows.
How
Yeah.
Yo, so when you listen to the story, it's like, oh, bro, we could turn this into something. So what do you reckon? Oh, yeah, sweet. So then script it out, look for some actors, kind of, not really auditions, but like just give the script out to the kids that turned up. Oh yeah, try this part. Oh yeah, next, kind of thing. And bro, they're all just natural actors, natural storytellers, mean as on the camera and all that kind of stuff too. So. Yeah, man. I'm talking it up now, but we'll put them out there and then, yeah.
Nah, man. Is that gonna go on that Vimeo part of the? Because I went on the Runway 135 webpage today.
Oh, you.
And I got the link to the Vimeo.
Yeah,
or the videos is gonna go in there.
Yeah, probably. So probably on there and or maybe just in there. I'm not too sure. We haven't even discussed where it's gonna go yet, but yeah, it'll be somewhere online. People can kind of see what they've done, and then hopefully we'll do some more with them. So it's pretty much whatever the kids are into.
Did you think the kids were going to respond like that to making their own movies? And that's kind of out of it to put it to kids like, hey, this is your chance to make movies, write and produce, and
it's really fun for them to do too.
Yeah, I reckon, and I think especially like this age, like with YouTube and all of that stuff, I think even TikTok, like a lot of kids are already putting stuff out there, you know. So like, I think it's just natural as part of their world, And I think if you think about all the good people, we kind of grew up with, if they had access to like the tools from now, shucks, mate, probably Dwayne Johnson's like only one of heaps. I mean, just imagine if Floppy had YouTube and all of that stuff back in the day, it would be like even bigger star than he is now. So.
No, that's crazy. That's awesome. It's cool that you've got that option to give to the kids too. Is that through? So that's with the equipment that you use. That's for your own funding, or that's from?
It's a little bit of obviously with Edith being an artist and having some of her own gear. It's a little bit of like, oh, yo, can we borrow borrow your camera for this? I mean, she's all part of it anyway, so it all, it's all complimentary. But like, yeah, now we're fortunate through some of our funding relationships to be able to access some of the gear, and really, it's just being able to have it in the neighborhood. So when kids come in, they just pick it up, play around with it. And then, a lot of the times, they'll create something just out of chance that they were there. And then we might look back at it on the, play it back, just, scrolling through what they've made. And you're like, oh, man, this is crack up. Try and do something with it. So, but yeah, I think the thing about the films and that is just trying to support the kids that have interest in it. One of the things we've always done is mostly through sport, is try and just give kids access to opportunity to participate, and then through that trying to make sure that if we can try and connect them to pathways, and sometimes just by participating, they just get noticed by whatever or whoever's walking past. Or it's complementary to the other sports and stuff that they do. So yeah, I mean, just trying to have a look at with storytelling or through the arts or whatever. If kids are interested in it, helping them, one, just have access to practicing it, putting themselves out there, and then if people kind of pick up on it, then that's good for them, and then it's good for the neighborhood. So the more kids they make it from there. People are like, oh, bro, you got any more actors? Or you got any more writers? Or, and that's kind of how it works, like with the sport. People come around and they're like, they'll see our team running around at a module or something, tag or touch or something, and go, oh, bro, what's that kid's name? Oh, what culture are they? We got nationals coming up, or Oceania for tag or whatever. I'm coach of this nation, so... Yeah, that's pretty much what it's about.
The film and stuff, did that idea stem from the Realize guys that those doing those videos for social media and that?
So it's like 2016 is like when they first started getting together, and they're a little bit I guess kind of like last time we spoke, we talked about how we were a little bit what's the Vogue word, triggered by these statistics that we talked about our neighborhood. Hey, so like with the kids, they even in 2016, similar narrative. So they're like, oh man, we need to change it. So we need to kind of present our version of of the story, and that's kind of what brought them together. And so I guess it's just the evolution of that. It's just rolling on. So. But there's original youngsters coming through and making videos, whether the videos is just of them eating and introducing these other places to the rest of the community to go and try.
Because I thought that was pretty cool how they went around to the those food places, went to that Mexican place down at the concourse.
Oh, yeah.
And then the first one they went to the cookie house.
That's
and
right.
promote those guys. That was a cool segment.
Yeah.
What do they call it?
The grub down.
Grub down, yeah. Grub down.
Yes, so it's like it's the lowdown on food, that's the thinking anyway. But and I guess it stemmed. Man, I can't remember if we talked about it last time, but it stemmed from this kid who I think he's like 14, came into the house one day after school, and we had a leftover box of Dunkin' Donuts, and the man's eating it, and he's buzzing out like if he's eating, I don't know, something from another country, And then he's like, whoa, what are these? And I'm like, oh, bro, just donuts. He goes, man, I've never had this before. I'm like, damn. And then we realized that all the kids that come through and they're tasting food at work for the first time. And we're like, bro, we should do something about that. Like in terms of just trying to expand the worldview. Most of the kids will ask, if we're going to get something to eat, what do you want to eat? Oh, McDonald's. And that was that's the standard answer.
Yeah.
So we're like, maybe we can broaden the worldview just around food, and just let people know like, oh shucks, either this is in my neighborhood or this is across town. It looks nice. Maybe I want to go there, and then something simple, but you'd be surprised how much it's opened up people's kind of palette and through opening up the palette,
Yeah.
you know, it's like, oh yeah, you know, going over, I mean, going to Central is not, you know, it's not too bad. Anyone can go there. You know what I mean? But even though we grew up there, or that we, you know, like that's our original hometown, you know, as Pacific coming to New Zealand, a lot of kids in this generation, you know, unless their families got those strong connections to Central, you know, they probably wouldn't go to those places like the, what's that famous food court in Ponsonby? I mean, there's Ponsonby
The one
Central.
upstairs, eh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
or there's that one.
Okay.
For this,
Oh, is the new one?
and then there's the other one. It's basically like they call it a food court, but it's like restaurants. Or,
Yeah.
Ponsonby Central.
Ponsonby,
Yeah,
Ponsonby
yeah, yeah,
Central. Yeah, you know.
But you're right there, like when it comes to exposure, because I remember growing up, all I knew was Smith and Wong's, you know.
Right.
And you know, that was, you know,
Ooh.
and it wasn't until probably when I grew up, I mean, when like you said, when I started going into town, like, you know, started making school about 15, 16, you know, all I did,
True.
you know, and then you go, what's this thing with rice? But people really eat this rice with avocado and like
Yo.
salmon inside. You know, oh, that's sushi. I was like, oh, I've only seen it on the Snow Brothers game, or you know, these kind of
Yo.
like. But yeah, like I understand where you're coming from, and when I sympathize with that kid, like 16, Dunkin' Donuts or something for the first time because they haven't had exposure, or all they've known is just their environment that you know that they're marsangi to, which is probably just Ranui, and not, you know, if they don't have any, like you said, extended family or someone have an auntie or uncle that's going to come and take them out of the suburbs
Yo.
and out into the, you know, out
Hard.
of the town and that. So yeah, no, it's I can relate to that story. I was probably that kid. I probably was that
Bro,
kid. Like, oh, what's
same,
this? You know.
bro, same man. And bro, I mean, like, shout out to Smith and Wong's. He's still holding it down. I
Oh,
think there's still the buy
Hey.
for the neighborhood,
Yeah.
like Chinese eats, you know.
Yeah, no, it's funny. Like you've seen it. Like the owners change, but the quality's still. I remember him. You know, the old man.
Yo, angry for life.
Yeah, he was angry as man.
With the glasses.
Yeah,
Yeah,
with the
yeah,
glasses.
with the glasses,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And I remember because it was funny because I was there. I was there on. Where did I go? Was it Friday? And I remember how they used to put. You know how they had their glass. I was just looking at the glass
Oh,
cabinet.
yo, yeah,
And remember how they used to have the fish.
The fritters and all
the
that,
fritters.
yeah.
And then I was thinking about it. I was like, hygiene-wise, that was really bad what they do back in the days. Because there's nothing
Yo.
to keep it cool in that.
True,
and it's just
true.
inside a glass cabinet, man. I'm like, dude.
Yo.
And then I was thinking about how back in the days, how the Foursquare up in Ranui, because my mum, she had a run-in with the lady.
Oh, true.
Because you know how they had the counter, and you'd open up the front of the counter with the lollies in it?
Oh, nah, yeah.
Yeah. And she put her hands on the thing,
That's
and then my
the,
mum had to go, like, because it was with my, she was with my nieces and that. She's like, oh, don't you have like a scoop or something? And she's like, no, this is how we do it. And
Yeah.
I was just trying to bury my head, like, come on, mum, you know. We have to come back to this dairy, you know. This is the only dairy in Ranui,
Only
you know?
dairy, yo.
I don't want to cross the tracks over the Pooks Road.
Bro, that's the truth, though. Like back in the days, remember they're like, oh shucks, there's 1 cent lollies and stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, you know, you can, for $1, you get like 100
Yeah,
of
yeah.
one lolly, like 100 Jaffas or
Yeah.
snifters or something like that. Yo, but yeah, nah, I missed that dairy though, because remember it had the spaces around the back with
you walk down
yo,
the side there, eh?
Yo,
Yeah. Oh, I remember. My brother would send. I just remember sometimes my parents would send my brother up to go get like coconut cream or something. Yeah. And you're thinking with the Samoa to go cut down the coconut, muddle the peanut, and see, because it took about 2 hours. And you know, my mum and dad would be like, "Wait, you know," and I knew where he was.
Yeah.
You know, playing this other kung fu master on this.
country master.
or something on the side there, but those are the days, man. It's funny.
Yo.
Hey, do you know who runs that Ranui page on Facebook?
Oh, the discussion group.
Yeah.
Yo, bro, there's but do you know Latu? Or I think the neighborhood mostly knows him as Locking Latu
Okay.
back in the day. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that's his page.
Oh, okay.
But that's mean, bro.
Man,
Yo.
I don't know where he's pulling out all these photos from. He put up a photo of the old dairy there.
yeah.
And I think he put up one of Birdie's barn or something. I was going, bro,
Yo,
these are the classics, you know.
he's a goldie.
Yeah. And I love the discussions on there.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
he
yeah.
put up a question, well, like, hey man, name your street, name your and the people that stayed on your street.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I just saw the response, and I saw someone put up Starling as well.
Yo.
And I went, did I make did we make the cut, boys? Did we
Make
make
the
the
list.
cut? Yo, we made it.
So what do we go? We got Edmonds.
Yeah, we've got the Mays.
Mises,
Yeah,
yo,
the
the
Mises.
Mays, yo.
Yeah, the Davises.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, bro, true, that Davis's
Yeah.
thing. Man.
But it's
Yo, and then of course the Galavas holding it down at the
Oh,
end of the
man.
street. Eh?
we're the ones hiding in the back there. Right?
Yo.
But I just thought I love the page. You know, like it's like it's bringing the old school guys in with because I see a lot of a lot of the younger generation commenting there as well.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's just a good way of seeing how everyone is. But I love his throwback photos. You know.
Yeah.
Mm.
Bro, and he's passionate about the neighborhood, man.
Yeah.
He's like, if anyone's putting the neighborhood on, like through their music or whatever, and like most times he's like he's all over their socials, you know,
Yeah.
like shouting it out loud and proud, man. So
Yeah.
yeah, now he's doing mean. And bro, I remember I saw this one. Bro, do you remember that house at the corner of Woodside? That schools used to go there, and so like I know Ranui, Birdwood, we used to walk there. And
With the big trees
yeah,
on the left
yeah.
side, or
I think across the road from the big tree. So like they used to have stuff like King Ducks.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, is that a throwback?
Was
or-
that
Yo, wait, is it now? Oh, 2009. Oh,
Yeah,
true,
yeah,
true.
yeah.
wonder if he's got a photo before these townhouses came, and the LED tagging on the.
There's little wannabes.
Crack up.
The shadow line, the shadow line.
Yo, damn. Bro, man, but like, man, honestly, like, I knew he had some of the most famous taggers from back
Yeah.
in the days. You remember, like, Pro 8 was from Ranui. Do you remember? He was a bit younger than us, but yeah, I'm pretty sure he's from the neighborhood.
Yeah.
I might have made that up. Didn't quote me on that one. But that house, on Woodside.
So Woodside.
So like, you know, Don Buck.
But does Woodside count as Ranui? I was just thinking about it because
I don't know.
that's Cameron's area. But I know
I think
the borderline is Donbuck Road right? and Glen Road. So that encapsulates all the boys over here, Eric and Joe right now, because they're, Kempora, Scarlett, that's you too. Does Woodside make the cut, or
Bro,
that
are we
border
cutting
changed. That
Woodside
border
right
changed
now?
how
If
many
we put it, are these
I think it depends who you're talking to on
Are they
Woodside.
saying
Eh?
that?
Like, I figure someone's like a bit precious, and then maybe they're like, oh, nah, we're meshy.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
But I think like
I think it's messy now.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
used
It
to
would
be
be now.
It used to be Henderson.
it was the border at one time. Eh?
Yeah,
like,
it used to be Ranui, and then he changed to Henderson.
Yeah.
And now it's messy.
oh, yo,
Yeah.
because like I think even that's like my street, like down Camphora, like because we used to get mail for both areas, and then depending on different maps, it's
Yeah.
either on or it's not.
Oh, you don't know that?
true.
Oh.
Yeah, so like it cut off at I think Glen Road, and then coming down Scarlett
Yeah.
and Camphora, it was like on the messy side of. I was like, hey, oh, true.
Well, it's that creek, no? On the side of the creek should be.
Yeah. Because I think that was the original one. Yo, which is like how Woodside came into Ranui.
Do you think they're rezoning on purpose? Because of, I was listening on the radio the other day, very 89.4, very proper mainstream radio, and they were talking about Birdwood Heights,
Oh, around by the basketball park.
and I was going, Birdwood, caught
Yo.
my ear straight away because, Birdwood, that's where, and I goes, and then they said, a new subdivision of Swanson, and I went, hey,
Yo, yeah,
that's
true.
right, I knew you, man,
Yeah.
that's that's off Glen Road, that's where the basketball courts are, and I was thinking, are they trying to purposely rezone the area just to make it sound like I wouldn't be surprised if they start moving out, the zoning, like making messy, all of Bahari messy and all that, just so they can change pretty much white Ranui and just leave Ranui all of Waitemata Drive. I'm just saying because When I heard that radio station, and they said a new subdivision of Swanson, you know, and I thought, no, that's Ranui, you know, that's where the pony club is, you know, that's where the basketball courts, the new basketball courts, and it's got 135 written all over those courts. So.
Hard. But I think like on the, I think technically on the map, it's on the other side of even the basketball park itself.
Oh, so that's counted as Swanson.
No, actually, the park comes into it. It kind of cuts off around the edge of that park, and then follows down Birdwood Road, down the rest of the way. So, and there's, I guess, Birdwood Heights is that new kind of subdivision that's building up around the back there, around Crows Road.
Now that's probably how they're gonna justify that new basketball court there. Unlike Swanson doesn't have a basketball court, so you guys have got Starling. We'll have this one.
Yeah.
Oh no, because I mean, even when they were building it, and they came and asked us like, "Oh, we're gonna build this youth facility at the park over there," and like we're saying, "Oh, is it for Ranu youth?" Because then it's better to build it closer, like to Starling Park or something like that. And but it's a zoning, like you say, it's a zoning thing. So I think early 2000s they zoned that area there by the BMX track for a youth facility.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and they came around and they said, this is a park for our new youth. And then I think the last consultation that came out for that park, it's like, for the new Messi / Ranui park. Okay. All good. But yeah, I knew the local board, they worked really hard to try to give something for the youth from Ranui. And even though it wasn't like in the ideal spot and stuff, just take the wins, we're still waiting for our full-size court in Starling Park.
Yeah, man.
The home.
Speaking of local board, since we're nearly talking about elections and that, who do you deal with from the city council and that, like, when it comes to funding, or who do we, like, if we have an issue, like, we really want to make Starling Park the centre of basketball, for West Auckland, because we deserve it. I mean, as much as I love those hoops, come on, man. I think I made a better hoop at engineering
So I mean, the local board, hence the messy one. They're really supportive of our community, Ranui, and especially young people. So you got fellas like old boy Matt Gray, he's been on here too. He's a mean champion for the neighborhood. But then even some of the stalwarts like Vanessa Neeson, she's been a champion. She was a big push behind that park that we have.
Awesome.
And then you got like Brenda Brady. Yeah, I mean, who else is on there? Will Flavel, Ingrid Papau. She's one of the new first term. And then Chris Carter. We've met him a few times. We haven't had much to do with him, but the whole board's pretty supportive. And and Peter Chan too. He's always good friendly fellow. But I think it's more the people that work on behalf of the board. So there's a lady, Betty McLaren. She works for Auckland Council, and she's like the hands and feet of the local board, gets around to the neighborhood, kind of see where's the energy and tries to invest in it and support it. But one of the things we've been working on for years in our community is for like a place for youth, and we're pretty fortunate at the moment to have a space with Ranui Action Project with RAP that
So
we can.
do you own that building now?
Ranui Action Project owns it. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
So
That's the one where you used to go do your blood tests in there. When you said
Yeah,
down the hub.
yeah.
Okay. So how did that come about? Did you just buy it outright, or?
yeah, so back in the days, when Ranui Action Project first came to the neighborhood, they used to be at the community center, and then Di Jennings, who was the coordinator at that time, she was like, "Oh, bro, what was it, Ray White, real estate, who used to own the building,
Yeah.
they're selling up," and she's like, "Oh man, we got enough money. Well, why don't we buy this for the community?" And then through the board at the time and through the community, they kind of pitched it, and then the community's like, "Yo, yeah, it's a good idea." and they bought it. So this is back in like maybe 2000, 2001.
Yeah.
They bought the house, and then just different boards and different coordinators and that, or managers over the time. They've had their little imprint on trying to make the house like nice, refit it on the inside and stuff. So Carol Glimazina, who's the current manager, her and her board, they're the ones who, I don't know if you guys have seen, like they've put a lot of work into the current building. Oh yeah, there's Carol there, mean lady from up in Dargaville.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But she's been living in Auckland for ages, and as well as around the world and that. And then came in, and it must be like maybe 2 or 3 years ago. And then just like you really tried working really hard on trying to bring kind of like or make the house like more user friendly for the neighborhood. And I guess the unfortunate thing is that the blood test, like the space kind of wasn't big enough to fit everything, so like so we lost them from the premises, but they're still in the neighborhood thanks to lots of people trying to bring them back, because we did lose them for a little bit.
Yeah, I took my dad to the doctors on Monday, so they were next to the dental.
That's
Smile
right.
Dental. So there's a little room. So it's pretty. Well, in all honesty, that's where it should have been in the first place, because
Yo.
you go to the doctors and they go, oh yeah, go for your blood test. Well, you've got to go across the road. And I'm like, oh, well, I have to walk past the bakery.
The temptation is real. Yo.
I gotta eat my potato chip before I get. Oh man, it's tough,
Yeah.
man. It's tough. But no, it's good. No, and it's good that it's there, because it just makes sense anyway.
Yeah, no, hard. And it's good they're still in the neighborhood. I mean, we still get people coming in the house now with their blood
Okay.
prescription or whatever you call it. Like, oh yeah, blood test. Oh, sorry, mate. It's across the road now.
Yeah.
Yo, but
If you get kids to act like Draculas or something, yeah, come and tell us in the room. Yeah, we'll take your blood for you.
man, if they could, they probably start charging people $5 at the door. Yeah, come here, I'll take your blood. Yo,
I remember last time you were here, you were talking about how like you're not part of Rahanawi 135 anymore, but you do look over their shoulder and have a look. But who do you work for now?
oh, who, me?
Yeah.
No, sorry. So I still do. I still work for the organization, but I guess like in terms, it's just more trying to be behind the scenes. So we want the young people to have young youth workers, not see the dinosaur that's trying to learn TikTok and all that kind of stuff to understand the world of youngsters. But so I mean, like pretty much it's just looking after the team, making sure that the team is skilled enough to understand how to support young people. And it's different as like to when we were growing up. And so like if I'm thinking of myself now trying to support a young person, like if you look at it at a scale of like out of 10, like the effectiveness of that might be like a 3 or a 4. You know what I mean? And so like for us, that's not good enough for making sure that young people are heard, seen and listened to and supported. So that's why we work really hard to try and bring in young stuff. And with most of the youngsters coming through it, and some kind of part as a participant, whether it's like through a holiday program or through a sports team or something with what we've been doing over the years, they kind of understand it. They live in the area, so we don't have to kind of sell it to them about how important it is to how we support youngsters. Still there. Just more supporting the next generation to come through, so that the kids get the best possible person that's supporting them.
2020 has been a pretty bummer year for a lot of people. Like this COVID lockdown we've been having, and that, like, how's it affected your work? Like, obviously there's something brand new. Like I don't know how. I mean, what was it like going into the lockdown and dealing with the kids? And were there any new problems coming through that, or were you guys concerned and had have a plan in place to deal with certain things. I don't know what it is, but obviously it would have been a big change and a big thing.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like, I mean, like a lot of things that we do, like we work in schools, so schools were out, and then we do camps and stuff. Those camps got cancelled, and those are like bread and butter for us. Even when we have a street team, they just try and engage with youngsters like on the street, so they just walk around the neighborhood, just say, just try and build relationships with youngsters, not in any way for any outcome, but just say the youngsters know, like, oh, yo, there's these people in our neighborhood who are there to support us. So all of that stuff's Facebook. Sorry, all of that stuff's face to face, but in the absence of that, it's just trying to adapt. Like, so how can we still stay connected to our youngsters, kind of tune in to where they're at. So, and that's where the value of us trying to bring through a younger team of youth workers. So like how kids communicate now with each other is closer to how our staff communicate. So like all the little nuances of social media, what it means to like something, or you know what I mean, like to us, or to me as an older dude, it's just like, oh yeah, if I see something I like it, it just means I like it. But for a young person, it means lots of things. If you like someone's post, or you can read into it as lots of things, but I guess, yeah, so for our staff, like it's using our network, because you can put the blanket thing out there and say like, yo, if anyone needs help, whether it's food or someone to talk to, just hit us up. But that doesn't really reach anyone, like maybe one or two people might look at that and actually follow up. But it's really going deep in our network. And so the thing for us is that because we live there, there's so many people we can reach out and go, hey man, we might have an idea of maybe people that might be struggling, just because of how, like we know them outside of COVID. And it's surprising for us too to like kind of like learn about our neighborhood. So we're like, oh yo, can you ask so-and-so who's really connected to so-and-so if they're doing all goods?
Yeah.
And they're, yeah, all goods. And then they come back, yo, now they're all goods. Yeah, but it's like trying to do it in a way that, but don't let them know that we're asking. Because then if they need some help or whatever, we'll channel it through you. You know what I mean? Like, because, yeah, there's ways, like that Baron Toto movie, there's ways and then there's ways. Like, so it's just trying to figure out how can you support the community or people without making a song and dance about it, without trying to make it like a crusade or whatever.
Cause I think a lot of people would be hesitant because I think pride would be a thing as well. Like, it's hard to ask for help. I mean, as island people especially, because we do have that kind of looking over the shoulder, like, oh, look at, being judged by other people, and then when they find out that you've got like one of those food baskets, or you're having to refer to that, it can be a bit looked down on. Do you find that? That's a barrier for people.
Yeah, no,
not
for
reaching
sure,
out?
for sure, man. And so it's like, and even some of the responses coming back, people saying like, we're all good, and then that's cool too. And then other times it'll be like, people will say on behalf, like, oh nah, gee, please, for them, I'll take it. You know what I mean? They just, they just don't want people to know about their struggle, and even things like, I guess further to that, the whole idea about how we survive. So one of the things that we learned in the first lockdown was the amount of food support that was available to West Auckland that was being rediverted to South. And so there's a network of Pacific people working for services and out in the community, and that who we kind of like came together just to get a sense of like, bro, what's it like? What are you hearing on the ground? Like, who does anyone need help or whatever? And what we kind of found in that was that our community during the first lockdown was pretty resilient. They were just like leaning on each other. So it didn't mean that people didn't lose jobs or didn't need food, or whatever. They were just taking it on the chin a lot of the time. And like they'll always be grateful if you were able to share some stuff with them, like food or whatever, but they didn't ask for it, you know. And then sometimes they'll feel a bit like they're putting people out, you know what I mean? And I think that's like for us to think about our West Auckland community, it's understanding that like we're pretty unique as a Pacific community with how we, you know, kind of like dealt with COVID. I think the impacts of COVID now has moved on a little bit since that first lockdown. You know, I think it's a little bit more real for people as, you know, like once the mainstream or middle class starts suffering, then there's the knock-on effects. It's gonna come to us anyway. But I think for the most part, we're always living week to week, generally speaking, you know. And so we're kind of used to the experience of COVID. It's not a new thing to us, say, you know. So we can hustle. But one of the things as well, like, so I do youth employment or support, you know, people get work and that. And there's so many initiatives pre-COVID that you had to sign up for to get a benefit and all of that, to be able to access all that stuff. We still kind of have to do that now. And so what I used to tell lots of youngsters, like, oh man, if you sign up for WINS just as a job seeker, doesn't mean you get a benefit. But just as a job seeker, then you can get access to these jobs a bit faster than the general population. And they're like, nah, Jack, I'm not signing up to WINS. You know, and so those are the things that they've kind of grown up with, understanding that, like, oh, you know, like, things like WINS or benefits, they're viewing it as like a negative kind of thing. And it's not to say that it's a bad thing, but just for people personally, and in the families, they're like, nah, we're all good. We look after each other, kind of thing, you know. So, yeah, no, it was pretty cool to see that. No, not cool. That's not the right. It's not the right phrase, but yeah, just to see the resilience, you know, and just see like, oh, yo, we got our ways of dealing with stuff, you know.
You know, I know this is pretty like a real random question, but who is our local MP
For
West Talk, for Ranui and that? Because the only person I've seen, I'm out and about, I go down Universal and come back Universal every day. I leave to work. I've only seen Alfred Ngaro, I've only seen National, and I've only seen Jacinda Ardern. What's the Labour? Keep it moving or something?
Oh yeah, keep it moving.
Keep it moving. Yeah. But who's the Labour?
Today.
Yeah, Phil Twyford.
I haven't seen anything.
So,
I haven't seen anything from Phil Twyford.
yeah,
I haven't seen him out and about in Ranui. I don't see any of his posts. I don't see any billboards of him anywhere along Ranui and that. Why is that? I mean, if he's our MP, why is he not? Why isn't he up at Ranui PIC at the church there, or why isn't he down at Smith and Wong's?
It's like he's got it in the bag or something.
That's what I mean. And that's is that. I know this is. I don't know if it's going to get you in trouble or anything, but have you dealt with Phil Twyford personally? Has he reached out to you?
He's come out to community, you know, a few times over even before his term as the.
Well, he has been to our church a few times.
I mean, as the, what do you call it, like standing government.
Yeah.
So like in opposition, you know, he's come out and that, and he's got a kind of like a long, kind of like association with, or not association, but like, you know, we've known each other a lot over the years. But to be fair, bro, I have wondered about that myself. You know, just I think even I think I went up to Kaikohe a couple of months back, and when I was driving back from Kaikohe, all I saw were national signs all the way down back to Auckland, and then we ran out for a drive in between the lockdowns out to Miranda, you know, down south, and came back through Kawakawa and, you know, Clendon and all that. But the same thing, just all blue signs. And I think to myself, oh, it's just because I'm going the rural areas, you know, which is like
that's true. That it's probably that would be have to do something with it.
And then I have been thinking about like just locally. I mean, I've seen more signs for almost every other party, except for Labour. So, and even what do you call it? Like on social media, like I think National it's been in my feed mostly, which is
Yeah.
interesting to me. You
Or
know,
they
I was
might
like,
be
oh,
the
shucks.
algorithms.
Yo, I was like, what have I been watching? These are coming up.
You better watch. You been looking
Yo.
at Trump, any Trump tweets or?
It's right, but like, nah, yeah. So
I only
it
asked
has been
that.
something I've thought about. I've even seen
Yeah.
more of Calvin Dika, who's not Dika, Calvin Davis.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
who's the Te Tai Tokoro, you know, for the area, candidate for the area. You know, so,
I just say it because I know Phil Twyford. He didn't really have a really good run. The portfolios that he had, so he was quite bad.
Yeah.
I think he's like when you listen to radio, he's ridiculed quite a bit. And I thought, is that partly because is that why his like this is more like you're voting for Jacinda. This is more like you're voting for Jacinda in this election. You're not voting for, you know, we usually vote for our you know, we'll be looking for Phil Twyford, but I think Phil Twyford's doing the right thing. Like people are just Team Jacinda at the moment because she's pulled us through the for the COVID, you know, for the lockdown, and you know, we compared to every other country in the world, you know, we're doing really well besides the Pacific Islands as well. Because you know, I think Niue, Raro, and Samoa, you know, 0 cases.
yeah, exactly.
I think the other thing why you've seen so many national stuff everywhere is because they're coming up as they're coming through as the opposition. So they need to, you know,
They need to hustle.
they need to hustle and push
Yeah.
because, man, it's all
Well, I
team,
think 'cause
team
everyone-
Jacinda at the moment around the country.
Every poll says, like, because, you know, it's funny because every poll says they can either govern alone or they're going to need the Greens at some point.
Yeah.
Have you dealt with any other MPs?
Yeah. So, one of the guys I know is running for the Greens down in Palmy. Tianu. Oh, gee, sorry, Tianu. Trying to remember the last name. Cook Island fella.
Yeah.
So he's running for Greens. There's a couple of people I know that are running for the New Conservatives.
Oh, okay. Yeah, what's your
yo.
view on those guys? I've seen a few posters. I saw a couple on Swanson Road.
Yeah.
I thought, oh, you know, he looks quite young too.
Yeah, young fella.
Yeah.
Augustino Paseca.
Yeah.
He's a young fella. Nice fella. Nice dude. I think, it's, I think it's the New Conservatives in New Zealand is closely modelled on, I think, kind of like the more conservative aspect of the American politics, you know. So if you look at their policies, you know, they're closely aligned to the Republican Party in America,
So they're
at the conservative end.
are they really right leaning those?
Yeah. So they've got some really interesting policies there, you know. And I think it's interesting that they've got a deputy leader who's Pacifica, and they've got quite a few Pacifica candidates. I think there's about 4 or 5 of them all together. And yeah, I think for me the thing about that is just it's heavily weighted towards the Christian values, you know. So people who are conservative Christians or even fundamentalists in some cases, closely aligned to those parties. And so I think our Pacific people, they kind of align to that part of the party, you know, without thinking too much about the policies. And I think if you think about their policies are really negative for, you know, large parts of our communities. So if you're thinking about, and they got these crazy policies on solo parents, particularly solo mothers, like that if you have a child, that you will then, in one of their policy suggestions, be placed with a heterosexual married couple to raise their child, kind of thing. So for me, that's pretty problematic. You know, just from even just a practical point of view. I mean, how are you gonna vet all these families? They're gonna help these people raise their kids. You know what I mean? And it's taking us back to a real kind of dark age in terms of like thinking around diversity. So when I look at it, I'm thinking like, okay, what's the voice that's speaking here? I know I might lose a few friends, but what's the voice that's speaking here? And to me, it's like it's a old white male voice that's speaking, and it's the same things like when you hear about making America great again. There's a particular point in history that they make reference to, so like most of that time it's anything pre-60s where people of color were in the background, kind of unseen, weren't on weren't visible in terms of like culture. They're always just in servitude to the country, but not being able to partake in most of the benefits. I'm talking about American culture, so so when that kind of thinking and that kind of view invades our politics, then I think that's we have to be kind of like mindful of who that benefits, and so like even though our people are fronting it, it's not necessarily our voice that's shaping it, it's like it's a voice that we're connected to, and like their message, faith might only be 50% of the message, but a lot of our community, oh yep, that's God's party, yo, we'll be all in on that, not realizing that like, so tangata whenua who have like mana whenua status for Aotearoa here, under the New Conservative Party, what they want to do is remove basically tangata whenua status. So they want to take away, or they want to make te reo like an optional choice, which it already is. Like, it's not compulsory for anyone, but things like the place names and stuff like that. So like, I don't know if you remember Marcus Lush, I think it was earlier in the year or maybe late last year.
They call her,
with
the lady that wouldn't refuse to pronounce the name of the place properly.
Exactly. Mary from Tyree Plains. You know what I mean? Like, and that's always been that way. It's like, oh nah, hasn't it? There was pre-colonization had like all these places had their own names before Europeans arrived. So I think with all of that, for Māori, like if we in New Zealand don't acknowledge the important place of tangata whenua, then already you've lost my vote. You know what I mean? Like, because like we're all benefiting basically from like an injustice in our history, whether people choose to accept it or not. The fact that the treaty's never been honoured in the nearly 200 years of its existence, that's like something that the people need to kind of like be real about, It's like, oh, okay, sweet. But there's too much for people to, put on the line to acknowledge that, if you say like, the ideal thing to kind of sort it out is, oh yeah, sweet, sorry guys, our bad, give all the land back. But that's too much for people to think like, oh shucks, then I'm going to lose all my stuff. Including us, like, what does that mean for me and my house? What does that mean for me and my family? All of that kind of thing. But, anyway, I'm kind of getting sidetracked with that. But
it's good because, like, you have kind of shed light on, because, people don't, like we said, people need to forget about voting for people or the characters. You vote for a personal thing. But policy is the underlining thing that you really need to know. Like, we would have known about that conservative, some of their policies. That's extreme, and it's kind of out of it for to have Pacifico people leading this kind of thing. You'd think we'd already know because of our life experiences and then what our family would have been through. Would know that some of these policies don't actually benefit us.
But if you come back to what you said, like, what is their voice coming from? Huh? You say the white male, olden day. White male was like, how did that happen? Is there someone in the background unseen? I don't know.
No, I mean, like? And you could trace all the ways back to like, what do you call it? Like, even just colonization arriving to the islands, and like, I mean, it's one of those things where like, it can be hard to like hear sometimes. Like, so. but like basically the gospel came to different parts of the world, including the Pacific, with this idea of salvation. You know, and like we attached to it, but we didn't just attach to the gospel. We attached to all of the benefits of this that this new world was bringing. You know, that we were able to come to New Zealand and experience life here and have a bit of a easier, you know, easier life, easier access, not have to face some of the pressures of, you know, island life and that. So all of that's all part of it. You know, none of it's in isolation. And even our attitude towards Maori, even like, you know, when we were growing up and stuff, you know, like even as islanders against each other, you know, like we're pretty segregated here, and this, you know, we kind of, we knew we were all kind of like in the same area and stuff, and like nice to each other, but you know, go and close the doors and these bloody, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? But like not realizing that actually, man, we're like, our history is like closely connected, you know, and so when I come back to those policies of New Conservatives, it was like, if Māori don't get a fair go, like in terms of their heritage and their place in Aotearoa, like who are we to get a fair go? Hey, you know what I mean? Like, so yeah, and just understanding that like every party's got some kind of faith in their way, you know what I mean? And like every party's like, no, there's no, I wouldn't trust anyone who said, nah, I'm 100% this party, because when you look at every party, there's something that everyone should disagree with in every party.
There's something that you should disagree with, or there's something that appeals to you from each party. You know?
Exactly, and so you might, of the, you know, like a scale of 1 to 10, you know, you might get, okay, sweet, I'm vibing at about a 5 with this party, which is higher than any other party in terms of what they represent and stand for. And that's on things like justice, that's on things like economy, that's on things like social good, all of those kinds of things. And so you balance it up. And the good thing about New Zealand system with the 2 votes, you know, like MMP, is that you can vote for the person in your electorate, and then you can also vote for a party who might not be the same party as the one from your electorate, and just understanding how you can use your vote strategically. So I just saw on the news today about the Māori vote is increased 100% based on the last election, and the election isn't even officially, you know, election day.
I saw the news. Over half of New Zealand have voted. Oh no, something like
No, it was
1.5 or something voted. Yeah,
I think it's 40%.
40%
New
of the vote.
Zealanders have
voted.
have voted.
They're not like me that wait until right up until 7 o'clock Saturday, meet at Bedwood, the Bedwood School Hall.
I think they might be the strong supporters there.
Yeah.
All for Labour, all for National.
There are people who just want to, they just want to make sure that no, there's no way their vote's not going to count.
I mean that's I guess the danger for Labour is the complacency that, you know, like people might have.
And that's what I was saying about the Phil Twyford thing. Like I ain't seen any.
Yeah, no.
You know, I've been on I've been on Lincoln Road every day this week, and I've seen Alfred Ngaro supporters at the lights. You know. And every day this week, you know, beep, you know, and I was me and Tom was in the car, because we put up to Mobile to fill up the car, because they were at the corner of Triangle and Lincoln Road, you know, going to the motorway, and we're thinking, so how many beeps you reckon, you know, and like there's hardly, and then there's like, you know, quite a few, so it was quite consistent. I was like, okay, then you know, I hope Phil Twyford, you know, I hope he's not counting as. Oh, you know, I don't know the guy, so I don't know. But I just don't understand why they're not out pushing. You know, when you're talking about vibing, how you said, you know, five here vibing in a group. How are you vibing with the Advanced New Zealand Party? Are they vibing in Randui? Because you know
they're vibing with a lot of. There's a lot of young people are like actually vibing with them. You know, like, and bro, it's actually forced me to like look a bit more into the party because you know you gotta know, like, especially if you're in as a youth agency, you kind of gotta know, like, okay, where's the community at? Like,
what's shaping their thinking and
And then I mean, my original thing, you know, looking at it, I was like, even just the few sound bites, the first few sound bites that I heard, I was like,
Yeah.
bro, it sounds dodgy.
Nah.
You know, like, but there's an audience for it, bro. You know, and like, I think the thing that is connecting with our people is that they're really using this indigenous narrative. You know, like trying to tap into that. And I think for a lot of our communities, Maori Pacific especially, they want some kind of they want to be seen, you know, and acknowledged. And Billy TK, bro, he's speaking to them hard out. You know, Netflix of the whole shucks, I can't remember, but the Epstein documentary on Netflix. Yeah, so like, and with YouTube, because there's like
The 5G thing's another thing that he's been
5G,
pushing.
yo, hard.
Yeah.
So like, and all of this stuff's accessible, and you know, like the way social media works, it just pops up in people's feeds, and you don't have to verify it or research it yourself. You can just watch something and go, oh, it's true, because this, you know, like back in the days, if it came on TV or radio, it was true. Whereas now, it's like, it's not clear cut anymore. So
what about New Zealand's all about? Their policies based around those kind of stuff.
No,
Yeah.
they're popular because they preach that their thing is about. So their big thing is about. A lot of it's conspiracy theories. That's what I hear.
And that's why the kids
Yeah.
are
And the
drawn
kids,
to them.
because you know, one thing about human nature is that they don't like to be like us as humans.
Yeah.
I don't like someone pulling the wool over my eyes. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I don't want you to be a tricky cunt and try and pull
Yeah.
quick one on me. And then when someone, you know, if because of COVID and all that and the 5G, you know, they're pushing the. There's so many things that advanced
yeah.
New Zealand have. They're pulling all the right strings with people. And I like there's some stuff I think, okay, yeah, you know, I remember reading about that and I was a bit weary about that, and then you hear Billy TK speak and he'll talk about something like, no.
Yo, nah.
That's not what it's about. And the other thing is like, so they had I've watched some of those debates. He will always try and bring it back to his narrative. Like he'll always try and bring it back to what he knows.
Yeah.
You know, and as he should, because I mean, if you want to argue with someone, you're going to have to argue for what you really know about. But I mean, you try and pull them into other waters, and you don't want to get exposed.
Yeah.
So sometimes it felt like that was when I was listening to some of his debates. But I mean, I was just trying to figure out, and good on them. They've connected on something. Yeah, there's like that kind. There's something that they've hit a nerve. You know?
I think, yeah, I mean, like, I think there's, you know, when you think about, like, politics, but, you know, particularly, like, in America, and I think the reason why we talk about America so much is because we've always had a fascination with it as a world power, you know, whether it's popular culture, through film or music, or we've always had that fascination, so we're also interested in everything else that happens with their country, you know, and one of the things that, I guess the right-leaning voter, you know, they tend to really be fascinated with these conspiracy theories in American politics, and I think that same model. So, you know, we talked about the faith model of how to get votes. There's also that kind of conspiracy thing around that we're not being told the 100% truth, you know what I mean? And that the government's always hiding something. I think there's like a romantic association with that thing of like, we know something you do.
Yeah,
And we're gonna help you understand the truth, you know what I mean? And it's almost like a similar phenomenon to being reborn, as you know, like as a Christian, for example, you know, like you get a little bit of information, or you get this new zest for something, and you're 100% in it, and you want everyone else to feel what you're feeling. You know what I mean? Maybe that's a bad analogy, but
Nah,
you know
I know
what
what you mean. It's like
yeah.
you're tapping into what you want them to think the meaning of life is. The meaning of your life. Like, what are you passionate about? What do you value the most?
Yeah,
and if it's like religion or if it's like conspiracies, you know, they'll tap into that just for the fact to get your vote or to get you on their side or something like that, you know.
Yeah.
And I think if they can see that there's like, man, there's like I've met just today I've met 20 people that that think the 5G thing is real.
Yo,
I'm gonna tap into those guys because there's more of them.
yeah.
You know, that kind of thing, without thinking about, you know,
Well,
it's like a
you
way
know
of.
the analogy that you used, like they said, when you're like born again.
Mm.
I think it's not. I think it's kind of like, say, you've discovered something new, right? And you're just uni like, but you believe in it, like absolute. So then you've got to make sure that like everyone else is going to have to agree with you. So you'll be drawn to other people that are like-minded as well. You know, like,
Yeah.
is that I was
Yeah.
just trying to.
Nah, I mean, yeah, like I said, it's probably a bad example. Sorry to all my Christian mates that
Yeah,
might be tuning into this,
That's what
but
I was- my
I
brother's
was like,
this
yeah,
one,
yeah,
maybe,
my bad.
then you
I
said-
think
those-
if you give the American example, like it's so
Yeah.
polarizing over there,
Mm.
like far right and far left, and like there's no one in the middle.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you get things like happening, like you get that guy that what's that QAnon
Yeah, yeah.
that QAnon
Yeah,
thing,
QAnon. Yeah.
and see that guy went to the pizza place to
That's right. Yeah,
with a gun to look for those child sex
the
things.
trafficking
yeah.
thing.
Child-
Yeah,
child
yeah, yeah,
trafficking.
yeah.
Because they made up some story in Parliament or in the government about.
Yeah, and fully took it on. And I think it's these things that, like, gives people like purpose and meaning. And probably the better analogy is, the person that, like, I don't know, had a dramatic weight loss through their brand new fitness regime or something, and then they're at the lunchroom table at work, and then they're like kind of picking everyone's lunch apart.
Oh, yeah.
Bro, do you know what's in there? Hey, you know what I mean? Like, it's that kind of
bro,
thing. Yo,
that is
know?
a perfect.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden they become
An expert.
a better. They
Yo.
become better than you. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
Like what was that documentary, the health one
trying-
we talked about? Like
Game
Joe-
changers.
Game
Game
Changers.
changers.
That's
yeah,
right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, people would watch Game Changers and then they'll come in like this. You know, it's better to be a vegan. Like
Nah,
all of a
yo,
sudden,
hard.
the
Hard.
vegans. That's
Yeah, yeah.
right. According to the gospel of the Game Changers.
Yo.
But yeah. Oh, and I think and another thing, and I think this is the biggest reason why advanced New Zealand has really made advances, as cheesy as, but because there's this big mistrust, there's this distrust with us, because and I think it's partly to the media as well, because you don't know who to trust. You know what I mean? Like when you there's nothing's you can't really take anything. All of a sudden, especially with media, and because social media does it too.
Yeah.
It's filling our feeds with so much stuff. It's hard to filter out what's right or what's correct or what thing. And then once it all mixes up together, it just becomes a big.
Because it's angles, eh? They're going for angles. Like,
that's right,
what's going to
angles.
generate interest to make people view or watch our stuff or read our stuff and that. But, I mean, going back to that kind of like just phenomenon of like coming across new information and going 100. Like, so, but there's actually like I think in psychology, like there's a bias called the Dunning-Kruger effect. I don't know if you've heard of
No,
that
what's
one.
that?
So, well, one of the bros, Benji team me from east side, he put me on. But it's basically like where you get a bit of information, and then you're an expert kind of thing. You're like 100% into that what you've just learned. You're, hey man, you want to share with everyone, and then so like if it's a line graph or a scale, it's like you start here at 100 as in terms of expertise.
Because you're the only one who's aware of or that's discovered.
Yeah. And then as you learn more and more about the topic or the subject, then the scale starts coming down.
Yeah.
It's like,
Because
ooh.
Yeah.
It's like, actually, nah, I didn't know that much about it. So, like, for example, if someone who has told you about what's that party called again? Billy TK's party?
Advanced New Zealand?
Advanced New Zealand. If they told you one of the theories that's kind of, really pushing their party, and then you go, whoa, and you attach to that message straight away, and you're like, damn. And then you share that with everyone, until someone says, like, has a bit more, or has some contrary knowledge and challenges you, and you're like,
Yeah.
And then the scale starts coming down to the point where you're like, flip, bro, I don't know nothing. But if you if you keep reading about it or study it or look into it, and then all of a sudden you're like, you might find some stuff that like, oh, actually, no, this is true because
Yeah.
blah blah blah, and then the scale starts going back up to a point where you're like, you've put in time, you've put in research, you know, you earn your knowledge and that, and then you can have the opinion that you giving away for free that no one's asking for.
It's funny, it's funny. It's kind of like, you know, if you have an older partner or like an older brother or something, and they tells you like something. Like he tells you, oh, this is what happened in wrestling and all that. Okay, and you can tell all the boys at school,
Yo.
at primary school, and they go, oh, hey man, it's, and then someone comes, oh no, I watched it. That's not what happened. No, my brother, he never lies to me. And he's telling you, like, that's
Yo.
kind of. It's funny because we talked about this on one of our empty out the clips, because we talked about conspiracy theories. We brought this up, and I said, if you watch the documentary on the theory about the
Flat Earth.
flat Earth,
Oh, yo, yeah.
and I was telling him, I said, but look at the two people that hit it. So the guy who's seen as a as the know, like the all being, like he's the leader of the flat Earth theorist guys.
Oh,
Everyone
yeah.
goes to him. He was living in his mum's basement, right? And he had done two other kind of theories or two other things that he had stumbled across, and he found that he wasn't getting popular. And then on the third one, it was the flat Earth, and he started getting a lot of feedback. And he thought, oh, I'm onto something here. It wasn't something that he actually knew. He just saw people following him, and then he just all of a sudden he became, like you said, because he was the first one that kind of put it out there. He was at the 100%, but because the problem with him is so many people coming up and building up, there's no way that he's going to accept. You know, like he probably needs down deep inside that the Earth's not flat.
Yeah.
But because he's already taken all these people on his, you know, they're already following him, you know. Because you watched that documentary, and I said to these guys,
100%.
this guy, bro, he's got no scientific background.
Yeah.
He's got, you know, he didn't look into it. It's just something he stumbled across on the internet. And now he's the head of the Flat Earth, you know, society, and him and some other radio personality, you know.
Yeah, no, and I think, I mean, that's the thing, is that, like, I think it's a human nature thing. I think everyone wants to contribute to society, and for some people that spills over into seeking a platform, you know, to push their values and their ideas. So I mean that's one of the things that's really interesting about, like, kind of like value-based debates and that. Is that, like, at the end of it, like politics, for example, like, you can live next to someone and know them all your life, and these are all good until the idea of like the discussion of politics comes up. Then all of a sudden you draw lines. You know, it's like, gee, I thought you were cool, but I didn't know you vote for those guys. You know what I mean? Like,
That's an American thing, though. That's where Americans are.
And even their system, like, that you only have two choices. You know what I mean? So, like, and that's back to that thing where no one in America really fully represents 100% Republican or 100% Democrat in terms of the what do you call it, their candidates. So if you look at, like, AOC, you know, is she from Brooklyn, the Bronx? Ocasio-Cortez.
Yeah, that's the bringing down the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you look at her, she's quite liberal, so she's quite left-leaning. And then you got Joe.
She's very left.
Yeah, she's like
very
hard
left-leaning,
left. And then you got Joe Biden, who's their presidential candidate, who's like more like middle, even right-leaning a little bit on some stuff. So, but they both represent the same country. But the idea for America is that you either one or the other, but they're not fully represented on either. You know, and you can't say that some people who have or who align as Democrats aren't Christian as well. Just like, you know what I mean? There aren't Republicans who are atheists or whatever. You know what I mean? But, like, the dominant narrative from both ends is that, like, the Christian party is all Republican. You know, I mean, that's, if you're Christian, you vote those guys and no one else. But then you've also, I think people in America coming to the realization that, like, oh, okay, we voted this guy because we thought he was going to represent our Christian values, but actually he's just an egg. You know what I mean? He doesn't represent us at all, you know. So, yes, it's going to be interesting what happens with the election, both ways. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many inconsistencies and just their culture in general. You know, the fact that black people can look like they're pulling out a weapon and be shot by the police, and you've got people turning up with fully automatic weapons, like more than one, to like government buildings and not even being arrested. Hey, you know what I mean?
Well, the one, I think the
That's
one...
in Portland, there.
Yeah.
Oh,
The courthouse. Too.
Yeah, and they're yelling in their face. But the other thing is, like, you know, when you listen to other, you know, you listen to Joe Rogan, you listen to them, and they're talking about all these riots that are happening in Portland, all across America. And I always, like, I try and watch the news. I don't see anything on our local media about that kind of stuff. But you'll see something about, like, Trump and all that. I guess my issue is, and this is another thing I was going to ask you too. In New Zealand, they've been taken off Facebook.
Have they?
Yeah,
Oh.
so they've been banned on Facebook because they said that they was it false, because they were spreading false conspiracy theories that might incite violence. And I thought that was too extreme. You know what I mean? They're not. I've never seen them go, hey, you know, let's go try and burn down all these 5G towers or that kind of stuff. Is that the left-leaning media going too far with the Facebook? Is that social media? Because I thought Facebook was a kind of platform where you could post your views. I mean, it's not. They're not being racist. Yeah. They're not they're not talking about going to harm other people of other groups or who don't believe in what they believe in.
Yeah,
I think it might be just in the algorithm. Like they'll look for certain things, certain keywords.
But Facebook have replied. They've said that's the reason why we've banned these guys. That's why we've taken them off Facebook. Is that fair? Like I'm just saying, and I'm not even an Advanced New Zealand supporter, but I believe in, like you believe in free choice. I believe in free choice. And these people, I mean, Facebook is really connecting with their supporters, and if you take one of their main platforms away from them, is that being dirty or?
I mean, there's a few ways to look at. I mean, like so Facebook is like a privilege. It's not a right to participate in it. And Facebook as a privately owned, I think it's a public company, but you know it's owned by it's a private business. You know, so whoever Mark Zuckerberg and all his peeps, whoever makes those decisions, they have the right to say like, oh, you know what, this is damaging, and they can take it off their platform.
I think that's
So,
like Twitter as well.
Yeah,
they do that as well. But considering that what comes on Twitter,
exactly.
Yeah, hard.
Man, we talk about, it's funny. I left Twitter because I just couldn't handle it.
True.
It's like it's the wild, wild west, man. Of social media. You can just, and the other thing about it is that you can say the coolest thing in the world, or you can just say the most outlandish thing, and no one's going to hold you accountable for it. You know what I mean? They can try and ban you, but they don't have to ban 50 million people before they get to you, because something you said isn't going to be the craziest thing, you know?
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think, the other thing too is that, like, if you remove voices from one platform, because there's also like what do you call it, like natural monitoring, where people can call it out, like I think sometimes cancel culture is a little bit extreme, but you know what I mean, like.